The greatest force that is shaping your life, that is causing you to attract certain things, create the same result, attract certain people and experiences, certain patterns, certain fear, motivation, aims and goals and desires. That force that is shaping your life and your desires is your identity. Your identity creates your reality. Your identity is your sense of who you are, your sense of I am, how you know yourself to be at your core. And for a lot of people, they're not even remotely aware of who they are, the core belief that are shaping their life, their personality. They simply think this is who I am, it's my personality, it's my nature, I've always been this way. But they never ask themselves, when did I decide this? And so as long as you're completely fixed, rooted in this is who I am, and I cannot change because it's my nature or my personality or however they want to label it, there is no other solution for them to be different, for them to grow, to become greater, to step out of that comfort zone or to step out of that blueprint or that life path. Because as long as you keep on thinking that this is who I am, this is what I can do, this is what I deserve, this is how I need to operate, and this is my limitation and so on, then you remain stuck in that life track. Because there is a deep need in psychology to remain consistent with the way we see ourselves. And this is why change is difficult for human beings, because we like the certainty, the habitual knowing of who we are. It's not so much because it's comfortable, because a lot of people live in very uncomfortable situations and they still don't want to change. It's simply because it feels familiar, and familiar feels safe, and so they rather stay in that familiar feeling than seek and expand beyond what is known into the unknown, into possibilities. But when you learn that your core identity is something you can change, is something you can transform, is something you can expand to your liking, and it doesn't need to limit you, and it doesn't need to define you based on what happened 20 or 20 or 40 years ago when you were a kid, but that you can completely change now. It opens up your entire world. This is something that profoundly transformed my life. Way back in 2018, I was ready to quit everything, go back to France, quit my business because things were not working, because I was grinding, I was hustling, I was trying hard, and I was not getting the result. I was always ending up frustrating. I was even going through a breakup. Things were not good, and I was wondering, I know all those things. I spent so much money on NLP and coaching and Tony Robbins and all those programs, and why is nothing changing? And the aha moment was because I realized that I didn't change. I inflated my knowledge, I inflated my ego through all those learning and things, but the core of how I saw myself, the strategy I was using to feel worthy, to feel loved, to receive approval, I was still being the nice guy. I was still trying to prove myself to others. I was still being insecure and hiding and carrying so much shame. And so I didn't change. And so my reality could not meet the reality that I wanted because I wasn't operating at that level. And so when I went through a deep personal transformation of my thoughts and my belief and my values and who I was, and letting go of those things, and started to treat myself differently and show up differently, this is when things started to happen so fast, faster than in the previous year of my business. Things unfolded so fast, and since then I kept on growing and developing and changing my identity to meet the reality that I want to have. And so I'm telling you this, why? Because the most important thing you can really understand when it comes to personal transformation is that your identity drives all your experiences, from your relationships, from your friendships, from your job, from your self-worth, your relationship with yourself, money, and all of these type of things. All comes down to how you see yourself and how you see your relationship with all those things around you. And so you will not deviate as long as you're stuck on the same old blueprint. And this is why I want to share with you two extremely powerful questions today to help you have a breakthrough, to help you understand the core identity that you created when you were young, because your identity came from adaptation. When we're young, when we're kids, we depend on our environment, our parents, family, teachers, society, what is happening in our current environment, and we adapt. This is why we create so many coping mechanisms, because we adapt to our environment, not only to be able to survive, but to also have our needs met, but to also receive love and appreciation and all those things, right? And depending on the environment, some environment can be really tough. We need to adapt in some really extreme ways. And a lot of people never outgrow that sense of adaptation, and it just became who they are, operating in a world that they learn from, and then they identified with this, and then they grew continuously that sense of identity and personality, and this is how they led their life, and every experiences only reinforce and expand slightly that sense of personality. But when you understand the fundamental that you understood, that you created as a kid subconsciously, because you didn't know any better, because this is all you could do, okay? It will lead you to a massive breakthrough. And I know that because I lead every single one of my clients through those two extremely powerful questions. And this is something that had a massive impact in my own life, in understanding myself, the pattern I used to have, why I was such a nice guy, why I was so insecure and lacking confidence in who I was, and so on, right? And it came from answering those two questions. And I want to ask you those questions now, and I really ask you to take the time to answer honestly, profoundly, those two questions. Yeah? And you can pause this video if you need time to reflect in between. But the first question is this. When you were a kid, when you were young, right? Whose love did you crave the most? Was it your mom, your dad, your grandparent, a caregiver? Whose love did you crave the most when you were a kid? And really take some time now to pause, to reflect, to connect to the person. Who was that person that you really wanted the most love from them? You can pause if you need some time, because then here goes the second question, and you need to have answered the first one before you answer this one. Now that you know whose love you crave the most and how important that person was in meeting those needs and so on, here's the powerful question. To receive love and validation and approval from that person, who did you think you needed to be? Who did you need to be to receive that love, that validation, that approval from that person? And I want you to write down whatever comes up. Really think deeply about that. Who did you need to be? Did you need to be the perfect kid? Did you need to be quiet? Did you need to be funny? Did you need to be entertaining? Did you need to be the star? Or did you need to be good at school? Who did you need to be? For me, as an example, I needed to be quiet. I needed to, not create problem, not be loud, be basically a bit the opposite of my brother, who was very loud, creating a lot of problems. So if I could be different, if I could be quiet, if I could be minding my own business, playing alone, doing my own thing, if I could be good at school, if I could just be nice, then my parents didn't have to worry about me. They could just, take care of my brother and all these type of things. And so I created that sense of personality of just being nice, being quiet, not creating problem, right? Avoiding confrontation, all those things. And as I continued to grow up, I started to becoming more of a nice guy. I started creating more and more and more and more and more of that pattern, becoming more shy, more insecure, seeking more and more external validation, requiring everybody to like me, making sure nobody dislike me or don't create problems for others or don't annoy others. I'm not a problem or a burden for others. So you can see the crazy expectation. And also why it was so easy for me to have low self-esteem, why it was so hard for me to get validation and real relationship, and how even 20 years later, I was still operating in my world, trying to be successful, trying to have good relationship, trying to have all those things in order to simply feel worthy, because I was craving worthiness so much, but I did not see myself as being worthy unless other people liked me, unless I was successful, unless I had other people's approval, unless I was nice, unless all those things I had learned to receive love and appreciation from my environment. Do you see that? So those two questions are so powerful because here's the thing. What you really have to do is answer those questions, but then you have to reflect, am I still that person today? Am I still that kid today in this adult body trying to go to the world to the same old strategy, still being the quiet one or the perfect one or the star or making people laugh and so on? Like, am I still the same old person? Am I still using the same old strategy to navigate the current world? And if that's yes, is this working for me? Is it bringing me the fulfillment, the happiness, the joy? Is it really who I am authentically? Or am I just living from an adaptation that no longer belonged, that was never who I was really meant to be, but that was all I knew back then? And I tell you, when I did that process for myself, I realized that, oh my God, I'm living a lie. I'm living this adaptation model. I'm living something that is not me authentically. I'm not shy, I'm not timid, I'm not this, I don't need to get other people approval to be liked. I don't need money or success and so on to feel worthy. But I needed to undo that, and I needed to recondition myself, and that's why they call in psychology reparent yourself, right? That, hey, your sense of self, who you are, how you validate yourself, how you give yourself love and so on, cannot be from the same old strategy, because otherwise you become the guardian of your own prison cell, replicating the same old things, creating the same old experiences again, and then you can remain stuck in the same old identity, creating the same old experiences, never deviating to become all that you could possibly be and create the life that you want. Now, of course, if that strategy is working for you, then good for you, keep it, grow it, become better at it. But if it's not working for you, then you know where you need to start changing, because that shift will take time, because this is about really changing something that you have grown into it and that you've used over and over and over and over and over and over again, and that is affecting your life and your relationship more than you can think. But the moment you have that awareness and the desire and the willingness to start changing this, literally you blow up the doors of what is possible for you, because the moment you choose that I'm no longer going to be that person, I'm no longer going to be that kid, I'm no longer going to operate by being perfect or being nice or being quiet or being like making no problems and all of these type of things, like I can outgrow this. Then the question is, then who am I really, and who do I really want to be to create the life, the relationship, the fun, the fulfillment that I seek in my life? Yeah? And so this is the process of reparenting yourself, regrowing and reclaiming your own power. So I hope this video makes sense, because taking the time to answer those two questions can really open up a whole world of personal transformation for you. I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in so many clients, and I am sure that if you're watching this video, it can be powerful for you too. If you have any questions, write them down in the comment. If you need help to help you break through from that, to help you change your core identity, to help you uncover what shaped that identity and transform it into the person you're meant to be, you can apply for one-on-one coaching with me. Down in the comment, there's a link, and together we can work to dissolve the past and create who you're meant to be. All right, guys, if you have any questions, write them down in the comment. I will see you in my next video. Be well.